Welcome to the Clean Truth, where we like to call bullshit on the status quo. What is up? Welcome back to Clean Truth. I'm Don. We got a pretty interesting show today. This week's ball busting, I'm going to roll it into the intro of our guest. You know we do a weekly ball busting, right?
Yeah, I know. I was hoping you'd skip it, but
no.
Why would we do that?
No. No, sir. Today we have a good friend of mine, Gabe Frank, from the Frank Institute. He has a couple aliases. This is the ball busting part. He's called the Boner Doc or the Pecker Wrecker.
I've never been called those ever, except for right now.
That's the point. I was typing those in, laughing my ass off in my head. I'm like, he's going to get a kick out of this.
That's actually pretty good.
No. Gabe owns the Frank Institute here in Wilmington, North Carolina. Hormone replacement doctor. Before we get into that, though, we got to do the Clean Truth. It's another little weekly thing that we do.
Okay.
We need to finish that game because I got a pretty cool game in mind that would be a lot easier to do with this. Kind of like, well, anyway.
The card game?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's pretty cool. But anyway.
Like a drinking game?
It could be.
It could be. Yeah. So I got this question. It said, I'm competing in a bodybuilding show in September, but I want to do a triathlon less than 30 days later. How do I train for both? This one was right up my alley.
Sounds like you.
The short answer is you don't unless you're mentally disturbed. But yeah.
Oh, man.
I mean, I know how I would answer it, but how would you tell somebody?
A bodybuilding show and then a triathlon.
The first question I would ask is what division that they're competing in, because that would make a huge difference.
Yeah, I mean, is it a sprint? Is it...
No, I mean a bodybuilding.
So bodybuilding.
Like if they're competing in this show as a bodybuilder, they're getting single-digit body fat, you're going to have a hard time with that. If you're doing men's physique or something like that, I mean...
Still like 30 days apart. I feel like you can't really commit to one or the other.
I mean,
you could. Yeah.
The concern is the cardio, right? I mean,
yeah.
And dieting down, not having the carbs that you need to replenish. And I mean, you can't, if you're doing a triathlon, you can't just carb up the week before. Like you kind of have to build into it. I would say as soon as you can after the show, start eating for a triathlon, and then just train as best you can.
You could, but yeah, you could, without making yourself sick. You could get very sick doing that. But
yeah,
I would do high intensity cardio for your show because that will help. With the endurance. But anyway, I thought that was a good one. So
it's a question I don't think I've ever heard.
Yeah, weird, huh?
Kind of a crazy person would do that. That's really the concerning part. Yeah, but you didn't do a show.
No, I didn't.
And then try and do a triathlon.
No.
I heard the comeback's coming back, though.
Man, I don't even want to talk about it. I was thinking about this. Like, I've talked about doing this triathlon for so long, and now I feel like a chump because now I'm actually going to do it. Last year I said I was going to do it and had to bail for other reasons. I don't even want to tell anybody why because it's just going to sound like excuses. They were valid, but they're still going to sound like excuses. And then, this is just a tri-sprint. It ain't a half Ironman. It ain't nothing impressive. So, I just don't even... When I do something impressive, then we'll talk about it.
But when is the sprint? Is it the one here in Wilmington?
It's the one, yeah, right here. Right
so was it like September?
September, yeah. I got an eternity. I'm actually doing my first, triathlon, workout this Friday with a couple buddies down the channel. We're going to do the swim and do, a short 13-mile ride.
What time is that? Because I'd like to be there to video that.
I'm wearing a banana hammock.
I think I'm actually busy if you're wearing a banana hammock. I don't think I can make it now.
Oh, man. Well, let's jump right into this. So, Gabe, I wanted to have you on and talk about HRT. We've done this podcast, but it was 2 years ago, I think, when we did this.
I think it was one of the first ones.
This is a very important topic for me because I think that if I didn't have this, I would not be a functioning human being. And I also think that there's not enough awareness or there's not enough light shed on this topic that I think if people were a little bit more educated on it and knew that it can get expensive, but for the most part, it's relatively affordable for most people to do this. And I think that this is looked past. It's like a forgotten thing, especially with men after they cross that threshold, which I'll let you explain that here in a minute. But when they cross that threshold and they start feeling like shit and they wake up every day, they're tired, they're lethargic. It doesn't even dawn on them to go get your blood work done and see where your hormones are sitting. I get guys come to me, and it's been happening for years since clean eats was a thing. Guys would come to me and be like, man, what kind of supplements you think I should take? I'm tired, I'm lethargic, I have no libido, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, have you gotten your blood work done? And it's like deer in the headlights. They didn't even think about it. I'm like, I would start there first and then, tackle over-the-counter supplements later. That's like an afterthought.
Yeah. And, education is by far the hardest thing that I think I have to do on a day-to-day basis. Not only educating, but re-educating, because there's so much misinformation about TRT. The responses I get are, "Oh, are you juicing?" No. "Oh, are you trying to get jacked?" No. This is a physician supervised medical treatment for men who have a chronic disease state. This is not performance enhancing, and I'm very clear about the differentiation between that. This is getting you back to optimal. And, it's been such an education for me over this last 6 years and how things have changed since I opened Frank Institute. It's staggering, one, how little information's out there, and two, how much bad information is out there, even with physicians. And, this idea of guys go to the doctor and they come back and their testosterone's 300 or 350 and they have all the symptoms you talked about. Motivation is another one guys don't think about. Brain fog, you can't think, you can't focus, you're moody. Irritability is another big one guys don't think about. And, they go to their primary care doctor and they get a prescription for anxiety medication, sleep medication, because they can't sleep or they wake up not feeling rested. And something for concentration, and you don't need any of that. But because the doctor decided that their testosterone is quote unquote low normal, you're fine. It's not your testosterone level. Well, you can't look at a number and say this is everything I need to know about you, because you at 320 might be symptomatic. Me at 320, I might be fine. So you have to look at it two very different ways, and you have to take a step back and look at the entirety of the person. And nobody does that. And it's so frustrating.
It was frustrating to me being on the other end of it, because I fit kind of a stereotype. And so I'm not going to go down a big wormhole, but how I got introduced to this was through bodybuilding. A friend of mine back home said, hey man, if you're going to go down this path, and he knew what I was getting ready to do. You mean using anabolics. If you're going to go down this path, you need to start TRT, you need to educate yourself on this. I'm not going to do it for you. You have to do your own work. And that's the guys that I used to work with and did this stuff for me when I was competing. They were real big advocates on do your own research. I'm not going to do this for you. I'm not going to push you to do this. I'm not going to twist your arm to do it. You make the decisions. And if you do it, just understand the ramifications, but know how to fix them. And so I did that, except I went to like an online thing for a while and was doing that. Wasn't really sure where the product was coming from, that sort of thing. And I started that, the HRT thing, I think I was 32 or 33. And had I not done that, I don't even know what I would be. I'd be a mess right now without it. So that's how I got introduced to this. But then it was kind of almost like it screwed with your mind a little bit on what you were just saying. So like I had gotten test levels checked a few times, like in between shows, and it would be 400 or 500, something like that, kind of mid-range. But I felt like legitimate crap. And doctors that I would talk to about this, they'd be like, no, man, that's normal range. You should feel great. And I'm like, okay, well, what else is wrong with me? If I'm tired at 400 or 500, not understanding that my 500 is different than your 500 and different than your 500. You at 500 could feel like He-Man, walking around with boners hitting cups off tables. Whereas me, you know what I mean? It's just, I'm being funny.
Do you do that?
Good
for
weekends.
you. Good for you. Good for you.
And by the way, guys, I'm going to be a little immature talking about this, so just deal with it. But
do you know how hard it is for me to be serious? And I mean, obviously I'm professional. I take what I do very, very seriously, but we have very similar personalities and we're kind of like,
yeah.
So it's a difficult thing sometimes for me.
I'm 42 going on 12.
Yeah, well, I'm pretty much the same. But yeah, it's I think some of that taboo about it is another big hurdle. Guys that come into my office, they don't want to admit that there's a problem. They don't want to admit that the thing that they feel makes them a man, now they don't have as much anymore. They don't know that this is a normal aging process.
For sure.
Because of everything we do, between the stress we're under, between the food we eat, the lack of sleep, all these things just crush your endocrine system. And you get flat across the board. Guys come in with thyroid issues. They come in with their FSH and LH, which are the stimulatory hormones that your brain produces. They're all low because you've just been beat down for the last 10 years. And you don't notice, and it's just this slow progression. And then one day you wake up, and you're like, I'm a shell of myself. And to admit that's a very difficult thing. So, and guys ask me, well, what do I do first? You have to understand that there's an issue. And you have to be okay with, what? That is what it is. Like, look at you. Like, you're on treatment. Look at me. I'm on treatment too. It's okay. And if we talked about this more openly, I think guys would have a lot less stigma attached to it. There's nothing wrong. So you need to be on testosterone. Like, I'm 43. I'm going to be on testosterone for the rest of my life, and I don't care because I feel so much better. Like, why would you trade this kind of idea that you think, oh, there's something wrong with me? Why would you trade that and suffer for no reason when you can feel better, and we replace it in a safe way that's monitored, that gives you optimal benefit? It's just, for me, it makes me scratch my head.
You've used that word 3 times now in the last 20 seconds. I was counting them. And it's kind of that's my mindset behind all of this is I don't want to just feel better. I don't want to wake up and just feel good. Mm-hmm. I want to feel optimal. Mm-hmm. And there's a big difference. There's a huge difference. And so I'll get into that. But so in your opinion, is there like a safe age that somebody should start thinking about this? Because it's getting like the times now, and especially in the entrepreneur space, guys are getting younger and younger, where they are stressed to the max, and their hormones are starting to get affected to it. Like, for me, it was 32, 33. I induced that, but even guys that aren't, like young business guys who go out and start these $1 million companies, like, is there a threshold that you would say, okay, man, when you hit 30, you better start paying attention to this?
No. 6 years ago when I started, I would have said yes. But I would say in the last 2 years, my patient population has shifted. I have been fortunate enough to be introduced into the veteran community. So a lot of law enforcement, a lot of first responders, a lot of military. And I'm incredibly fortunate to do that, because talk about guys that are literally just dropped on the curb, that are used up by the military, and then they're like, okay, thanks. And so now I'm getting guys 26, 27 that are coming to me. My youngest patient is 24. My oldest patient is 84. There's no good time. If you start feeling bad, you need to check. And it may come back, and your level may come back at 800. And, okay, well, that's not what it is. So now
Could be a different issue at that point.
Let's look at other stuff. Is it cortisol? Is it thyroid? Is it a vitamin deficiency? So there's a lot of other things to do, but you kind of want to hit the big thing first. And if the good thing is that, if you are 27 and your levels are low, you don't have to go on testosterone. There's other ways to treat it. You can use HCG, you can use Clomid, you can use some of these other medications that kickstart the natural production. And then we treat you, and then you can stop, and we kind of get you back to where you need to be. Guys just think that, I'm on testosterone, that's the only choice. A good physician that does what I do understands that there's more than one way to treat this. And that's, unfortunately, a lot of these guys will go to some of these clinics where it's just stick you next. They spend 5 minutes with the doctor. My initial evaluations are usually an hour, 45 minutes to an hour, because I got to know a lot about you. And I got to understand where your mind is. I got to understand what your goals are, what's your stress, how do you sleep. All this stuff is important. What do you eat? And because if you eat Burger King for lunch every single day, you're going to limit a little bit about what I do. So, there's a lot to go into it. Just find someone that knows what they're doing.
I can agree. I think I'm actually a living, walking example of that. I went to, won't say a name, but went to another place for this one time, and this was before I was coming to the Frank Institute. And I happened to know a little bit more about anabolics and the substances that they were going to put me on than the actual quote-unquote person in charge there. I'm not even going to call him a doctor. And when they were reviewing, I'm not kidding.
I know what you're talking about this point.
When we were reviewing, the protocol or whatever you want to call it on how we were going to treat the issues that I was having, the things that this person was telling me, I'm like, there is no effing way I'm doing this. I'm like, I'm questioning her. And then, kind of got upset with me. And I'm like, I'm not going to agree to this. Like, this is just dumb. You know what I mean? So getting with somebody and doing your homework and getting somebody reputable that knows what they're talking about and understands and treats you for an individual versus just another number and another patient that comes in the door is astronomically important, which kind of leads into another question that I have here, and is like, I have, a safe testosterone level for the average man or woman. And that's another thing I think we should mention real quick. We've been talking about this like we're only talking about men. Mm-hmm. This is not just for men. My wife is on this. Mm-hmm. This is just as important for women as it is men, if not even more vital.
And there is, I tell people there's another pandemic going on right now. In it, I am seeing women between the ages of 30 and 45 coming in with catastrophically low testosterone levels. I mean, almost unreadable. And that's not normal. Because, and most of them are mothers, working mothers, stressful lives, go. And it just completely tanks your testosterone just like it does in men. And the first question I get when I tell a female patient she needs to go on testosterone is, I don't want to become a man.
Yeah, I don't want to grow a mustache.
Yeah, and you're not. It's not what happens. There's a difference between injecting testosterone to body build and to masculinize, for lack of a better way to say it, and doing what I do, which is using bioidentical hormones to replace you at an optimal level. Energy, sleep, mood, body composition changes in cycle. These are all things that are related to low testosterone. Libido's a big one. I get wives in there, and they're like, I feel so bad for my husband. I'm attracted to him, but I'm just not interested. And they're like, and I don't understand why. Well, we fix their testosterone levels just to where they should be. And I'm getting bottles of scotch and cigars from husbands being like, hey, thanks. This is not only is the libido better, but my wife feels better. Everything across the board is better. So,
hold on, you get scotch and cigars sent to your house?
No, I don't. I'm kidding.
I was going to say, man, I feel like a chump. If that was the case, I'd owe you cases of it. Jeez. What are your thoughts on this with young adults? And I say young adults, like between the ages of 20 to 40 or whatever, that age bracket. I guess there really isn't a bracket per se, but people trying to have kids who haven't had kids yet. So, like, is testosterone replacement and stuff like that safe for people that are trying to have children? I've been asked that before just because people ask me about this. Because I talk about it a lot. I'm not shy about it.
Right. So I need to explain a little bit the kind of the physiology of how testosterone replacement works. So in order to kind of answer the question. So the brain produces two hormones, and I mentioned them earlier, called FSH and LH. They are responsible for stimulating the testicles to produce testosterone. So it's a biofeedback system. So it's constantly measuring. Testosterone goes up, testosterone goes down. FSH and LH are then adjusted accordingly. And this happens hundreds of times in your brain. You don't even know what's going on. If you go on testosterone, the testosterone that you supplement with, your brain can't tell the difference between the two, what you produce naturally and what you inject or use cream or pellet.
The synthetic versus your natural production.
Exactly. And so your brain will shut down your natural production. And what that means is that we'll shut down the production of FSH and LH. I shouldn't say shut down. It lessens it. Well, LH specifically is responsible for sperm production.
Sperm count.
So, yes, is it possible that your sperm production will go down if you're on testosterone? Yes. I have patients who are on testosterone who have fathered children really without an issue. So some of it depends on the guy, but if I had to paint a broad stroke, yeah, it's going to affect your sperm count. But there's other ways to work around it. There's using HCG. For my younger guys, I try to keep them off testosterone at all costs. Not only because of the issue with the fertility, but because, hey man, now you sold the farm. Like now you're on this. And if I can give you Clomid, or we can use HCG, or we can use kind of one of these restart protocols, and your levels go back up, fertility is maintained, levels are up and they stay up. See you in 10 years when you need me. And just let them go. But we used to think that, any kind of testosterone, you're done having kids, you're infertile. We're finding that's not really that accurate, but most of the time it's a concern.
I would bet you $1 million I've been shooting blanks for probably 10 years.
We can do a sperm count and find out.
Nope, I don't have any interest.
Is there something you need to tell me? Not. I mean,
go in the other room in there and ask my wife if we're planning on having children. See the reaction that you get.
Did Ben give you guys baby fever?
No. Hell no. Again, go ask my wife in there if she wants to have another child.
I have, and she's given me the same response that you just gave me.
She probably looked at you like she wanted to dig your eyeball out with a spoon.
It was more of a look of complete shock as to why I would even bother asking her.
Yeah.
Just don't ask my wife if we're going to have another kid, because she will oscillate. And I was like, no. We're not. No more kids.
She's like a baby factory. Your sperm count is up in the millions.
Not anymore. I think she actually asked me. She goes, "Do you think with you being on testosterone, we could still have children?" I'm like, yeah. I just have to go make sure that it's still going on. She's like, "Well, can you up your dose so we don't have any more kids?" Like, babe, that's not how this works. that's not how this works.
I mean, you can just go do the little.
Yeah, I know. I was like, I'll call the urologist here in town, and we'll just take care of it.
Even that's reversible now.
It is.
That's nuts.
It is. I don't. Yeah, no. I'm good. I'm good where we are. I love my kids, but there's 3 of them. 3's a lot.
Well, let's get into some other stuff, like other anti-aging meds that you guys do at the franchise. I
can't imagine why you have franchise on the brain.
Yeah.
What do you guys have, like 700 franchises now?
It feels like it some days. But like other anti-aging medicines, some of them that you've mentioned in this conversation, HCG, other peptides, the Sermorelin, which 2 of those I'm on right now. And when I called you a couple of weeks ago and told you about some of the issues I was having, and then you put me on those on top of what I was already doing, it was a game changer.
Strong with bull.
Yeah, it's awesome. I mean, not just that.
Yeah.
But
I didn't mean it that way. I meant
general cognizance, just being awake, being focused, and being alert in, what seems like every day is stressful around here, for me at least. I mean, it's just made things better. So, talk about some of those other things other than testosterone. Because I guarantee you 9 times out of 10, people don't know what the hell you're talking about.
And it's all about balance. Whether it's for men, my male patients, my female patients, all about balancing the hormones, because you can't go crazy with one, not have another. And, even guys who have low testosterone levels, there's still some natural production. And proper testicular health and testicular function is important for a lot of different functions. You just can't shrivel them up and they go away and I'm just going to inject test and it's going to be the same. It's not. So, and some
There's
guys...
a lot of issues that come with that too.
There's lots of
health
issues.
Complications.
There are. And, you look at issues with bone health, brain health, heart health, all these things. Again, a properly trained doctor in what I do understands all this stuff. HCG is a medication that basically stimulates your brain to continue to produce FSH and LH in spite of being on testosterone. That's a very, very blanket way of describing a very complex medication. There's also receptors on the testicles that react with HCG. So you get kind of this double effect, this kind of primary effect in the brain, the secondary effect in the testicles. So it's a good medication for overall kind of hormone health. Not only does testosterone go down, but growth hormone levels go down. And people ask me all the time, what's the real fountain of youth? It's growth hormone. I tell people there's a reason that professional athletes like this stuff. There's no reason Roger Clemens at 42 was throwing 98-mile-an-hour fastballs. I know he did a great job taking care of himself.
So you're telling me it wasn't athletic ability?
No,
it wasn't performance.
Guys like that are genetic freaks. And yes, a lot of it had to do with the incredible way he took care of himself. But you can't throw that velocity at that age unless you have some help. And I'm sure he would say no. And I'm like, okay, Roger, whatever you want to say, dude. But if you look at how you looked 10 years and then when you retired, look at his face, look at his body composition. Those who are in the business know what someone who's on growth hormone looks like. And I don't begrudge him at all because I'm a huge Roger Clemens fan and I love him and I think he's great. And But come on, man, you were.
Now, I have a totally different opinion on this, especially in Major League Baseball.
I know your
Other
opinion is.
contact sports, okay, I can see their point. You know, you don't want to get anybody killed. But in Major League Baseball, juice them up.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, I want to see baseballs being hit from here to the moon. Like Mark McGwire, Sammy Sosa, the home run era, that was fucking amazing.
That was fun. That was fun to watch because that was right when we were.
Yeah.
When we were growing up.
And then if you think about it, like if I'm a $1 billion owner of the St. Louis Cardinals and I get a player who's worth $110 million throughout the duration of his contract, he gets hurt. I don't care what he gets or what he takes. Put his ass back on the field. So if that means he's taking GH, IGF, anything for his joints and his tendons, the faster I can get my investment back out on the field, so be it. As long as it ain't complicating his health and putting his health at risk, like I'm talking about, you know what I'm talking about, overdoing it, being stupid with it. But I mean, there's, you know, those guys could do the things that we're doing for optimal health in Major League Baseball that they don't let them do because it's a banned substance.
And, you know, unfortunately, you open a Pandora's box
You
when
do.
you start doing that. And because nobody's going to do it optimally. That's just, no one's going to do that. You know, and I mean, I don't, do they have a professional baseball team in St. Louis? I wasn't sure they did.
Next topic.
For the listeners, I'm from Chicago. So I didn't know if they had a professional. Is that a AAA team?
How many championships does that team from Chicago have again?
Who won the most recent one? All right, anyways, I digress. So growth hormone is a great medication because that's what it is. There was a study that was done out of the United Kingdom. Gosh, I don't remember how it was a couple years ago now, maybe a little longer, looking at use of growth hormone basically across the board, and the reduction in health concerns and issues as people's age was staggering. And we're not talking about a lot. We're talking 1 or 2 IUs 5 days a week. It's not a lot, but what you saw in terms of the reduction in aging was unbelievable. And I'm like, but of course here in America, we can't do that because if 2 is good, 4 is better. And in hormone replacement, it's not. Because I'll have guys that be like, well, you're on 60 milligrams twice a week or 80 milligrams twice a week. And like, oh, well, it's just easier if I pull back a little bit further. Well, now your testosterone's unreadable because it's so high. And I'm like, well, how do you feel? Well, I actually feel worse than when I was doing your protocol. Well, too much is bad. So it's all about balance, but growth hormone's great. Unfortunately, the FDA has, in the last probably 2 years, has cracked down on growth hormone use for anti-aging really bad. I mean, they're going in and closing clinics that use this stuff, just hand it out willy-nilly. So I don't use a lot of growth hormone. In fact, I don't almost use any. The only times I will use it, and it is very rare, is for people to help them recover from surgery. You know, we'll do 2 or 3 months at a low dose. The recovery time significantly accelerated, and then we wean them off and we stop.
So would you classify that Sermorelin as a peptide or?
Yeah, so that's kind of the segue to that is with growth hormone off the table, going into these peptides. So Sermorelin, Ipamorelin, BPC 157, CJC 1295, MK 500, just a couple. And the Ipamorelin and Sermorelin basically stimulates your body to produce more of its own growth hormone. I'm on Sermorelin. It's a pretty significant improvement in terms of sleep, in terms of kind of how you mentioned it, clarity, function, strength, recovery.
And it's fast. I noticed it like in the first week.
Really?
Sleep got better. So I was like, because I wear this Whoop strap. And so I would watch like the REM sleep. And I was getting deeper sleep like within 6 days. It was crazy.
I'd say that is a bit unusual. That's fast.
Yeah.
So it's great that you...
I mean, it could be I'm just blasted, or it could be placebo. Fuck, I don't know. But, I started watching it right when I started taking that.
And there's some people that react, very well to it. You're sensitive to the medication. You're a delicate flower. And so,
I can tell you that when it comes to this stuff, my body's a sponge.
Yeah.
Even when I was competing and doing bodybuilding, my body would absorb testosterone like a sponge, like you squeeze it in a water bucket, and that's what usually happened. So, I mean, I just soaked it all up and grabbed it real fast. But, no, I think it's great. I mean, this stuff is awesome. I just wish more people knew about it and knew how they could help themselves.
And that's and that's why I'm so appreciative you had me on this platform, because it gives me an opportunity to tell people, hey, look, it's okay that your hormones are unbalanced. There's nothing wrong with that. What's wrong with it is the fact that you don't do anything about it. And I tell people all the time, whether it's me, whether it's someone else that knows what they're doing, go find help from somebody. Don't go, and this is another blanket statement. It's not meant to be, because there are excellent primary care doctors out there. Don't go to your primary care doctor. Primary care doctors in medicine right now have to know a lot about a lot. And so things like hormone therapy, which, maybe they are still thinking like they did 15 years ago, 20 years ago. Oh, well, that's steroids. I'm not even going to worry about that. They're going to dismiss it because they got other stuff to worry about, rightfully so. So find someone that does what I do. I mean, there are endocrinologists out there that are very good at it. There are urologists out there that are good at it. There's OBGYNs. But make sure they understand the difference between normal and optimal, and they will listen to your symptoms. Because if they don't, it's kind of all for naught. They're just going to look at a piece of paper and be like, no, you're fine.
I think what's cool with me, and this is specific to me because I use you specifically, is, to me, I would put this over my primary care doctor. Because for me, if my hormones are regulated and everything's optimally functioning, I don't have too many health issues.
You're exactly right.
You know what I mean? Like, you're also my primary care doctor. Not everybody has that luxury because, you know what I mean? But I think if you focused on this first, took care of this first, your other underlying issues would diminish.
I completely agree. And I tell people, especially my patients here in town, I want to know who your primary care doctor is. Because if they have questions, I want you to tell them that you're seeing me.
Yeah.
They're like, oh, well, I don't want to tell my primary care doctor. Nope.
Doesn't work that way.
Doesn't work that way.
Yeah.
I want them to know. I know, I've been fortunate that my reputation here in Wilmington is very good. So the primary care doctors, urologists, endocrinologists know me. They know I do things safely, and they know I do things conservatively. I only treat people that need to be treated. But I have no problem reaching out, talking to them, sending them notes, picking up the phone and calling them, because it's important that we all need to be working together. Sometimes I will get some pushback from some of the primary care doctors, but once I'm able to get on the phone and be like, hey, look, this is why we're doing it. This is what we're doing. They're like, oh, okay, well, that's not what I do, but I appreciate you calling me and telling me.
Sure.
And, hey, let's work together for the benefit of the patient. And I have yet to find a doctor that doesn't do that.
Let's talk about the wand therapy for a minute. This is where my maturity level is probably going to go tank in the basement. But it's intriguing. And I think that if people knew that it was out there as a resource, all jokes aside, but talk about this. And then my other question is, I know what it does for men, obviously. You've explained it to me. I have not had it done, and I'll joke around about the reason why. But is there other benefits for this therapy for women?
Yeah, so what you're talking about, the wand, is an acoustic wave machine. So basically what it does is it uses sound waves to really regenerate tissue. It works in three ways, like we're talking about it for erectile dysfunction for men. So in the three ways that it works that way for all tissues. So one, it will begin to bust up scar tissue and calcifications. That's almost immediate. So my erectile dysfunction patients will a lot of times see improvement in blood flow and functionality almost immediately. You get increased blood flow to the area. That's kind of the second thing. And then the third thing, which is the real magic, is you get recruitment of stem cells to the area for 12 weeks after your last treatment. So you're healing, truly. Now, we use the acoustic wave for pelvic floor dysfunction or urinary incontinence in women, because as women age, those pelvic floor muscles either don't function correctly, they're too tight, they're too loose, having babies, all of these things contribute to it. And so you have what's called stress incontinence, or you can ask women, be like, I go running and I dribble. I jump on a trampoline, same thing. And so using the acoustic wave has a similar function in terms of restoring the appropriate functionality of the muscles. So that's kind of how it works for women. But it also works great for joint pain or for back pain, for the same thing.
What about tendonitis?
Oh, it's amazing.
Man, I need to come in there.
So the question I get is because it emits sound, and you turn it on, it kind of cracks, it clicks.
I've heard it.
And no, it doesn't hurt. If you do an erectile dysfunction treatment, no, it does not hurt. And the reason I know is because I did a treatment to myself. Not because I had any issues or I thought. I was like, I'm fine. I did 2 treatments to myself, and the change in erectile firmness I was like, oh, okay, there we go. I guess there was a little bit of change. So I did that, got on testosterone, that got better. It doesn't hurt. And no, I did the treatment to myself. One of the girls in my office did not do the treatment to me. So I did.
That's why I haven't done it.
Yeah, I know that's why.
Just something a little.
Yeah. So it's, but I've had it done to my shoulder. I've had it done to my back. And we've had people come in with years of knee, back, tendonitis issues.
Yeah.
And it's better immediately. Now, if you're doing an area of pain, you will feel that. When those sound waves bounce off that area of inflammation, it's a sensation that I have yet to be able to describe. It's like there's like a midget in there, like hitting you with like a sledgehammer. It's the strangest feeling, and it sounds worse than it is, but I don't know how else to explain it.
Is it little person or midget? Is midget politically correct?
It's a person of small stature.
Yeah.
And then, but the great thing is that when Morgan does a treatment, she'll run over like an area of pain, and then she'll go to a different area. When she comes back, that area of pain is significantly better. But you're gonna know when she hits an area.
Man, it's just intriguing because I've been in there and I've seen it and I've heard it. You showed it to me, but
Yeah.
I don't know.
But it's a treatment unlike anything. Like I've been all over the world playing sports, and I've had treatments, all kinds of different treatments for all kinds of different ailments. Nothing like this thing. I mean, it's staggering.
I might have to come in and have you do it or have Morgan do it on my elbows. So I've had like really bad extreme tendonitis in both of these arms. Mm-hmm. Scott turned me on to this like walk-in physical therapy place here in town, which they did amazing, and it felt really good for a couple weeks.
Which one?
Was it Mojo?
Mojo's.
John.
Yep.
Dude's
that dude
awesome.
knows his stuff.
It's a man.
He's the man.
Yeah. I mean, you weren't kidding. Like when you look at him, you like, there's no way this dude's going to be able to squeeze me hard enough to inflict any kind of pain.
Oh, you'd be surprised.
I was telling Scott the first time I went in there, and I'm not even joking, I'm not even exaggerating. He put me on one of them benches and got so far down in my freaking elbow, I was like sweating profusely and wanted to come out of my skin. He had his fingers, it felt like, on that tendon, stripping it out with his thumb.
Yeah.
And he was like, "Man, you okay?" And I was like, he's like, "You're a big dude." And I go, "John, have you ever heard of the Polynesian Torture test?" And he goes, "No, what's that?" I go, "That is when you can sit in a tattoo chair for 10 hours straight without getting up or taking a break. I have passed that twice." And I said, "You almost broke me." Like, that is some of the worst pain anybody has ever inflicted on me. And I've broken legs before, but that hurt.
Yeah.
But anyway, so I went there for, I don't know, 3 or 4 weeks. I haven't been back in a couple of weeks. I need to go back because it's getting better. I'm just kind of like trying to train around it and baby it a little bit. But.
And my wife is a elite runner, and so she's gone to see John too, and she's in the same thing because she has a hamstring issue, and she was like, no, like it's too much.
I had a knee issue, and one of the things he had to do was press down on the top of my knee and move around.
Hell no. My knee hurts just thinking about it. Oh, no.
Dude, he was not letting up.
No.
He was pushing.
I think he likes it.
Oh, yeah, he probably does.
I tell you what, though, that dude,
he knows his stuff.
he's got a knowledge base unlike anything I've ever seen. It's Duplessis, right? Is that his last name? Mm-hmm. Yep, that's right.
And a nice freaking dude, too.
Oh, he's a great dude. Great dude.
Like, he doesn't treat you like, he's not trying to turn him and burn him, which is surprising because of his business model. It's walk-ins only. Mm-hmm. It's like cash. You walk in, you get a treatment, but there's no time. Like, you're not on a time limit. Mm-hmm. If he spends 2 hours with you, he spends 2 hours with you. I was like, that is pretty cool. You don't see that. Like, it was just new.
He's really great. We're incredibly lucky to have him here in Wilmington.
So there's one more thing that you do that I wanted to talk about on here that I think it can kind of segue into this and be like another tool in that toolbox is the IV therapy.
Yes, this has been something that has been incredibly popular. So it is the best way to get nutrients and vitamins, minerals into your body is to put them right in your bloodstream. And so you see these IV places that pop up, like they call them the hangover places, like in Vegas and stuff like that.
Yep.
Well, that's a tiny minuscule part of what this actually can do. We at the Frank Institute we do it as a physician-guided treatment plan. It's not you walk in, you're like, oh, I want this today and this today and this today. No, we sit down, we talk to you, what do you need, what are your issues, and we design an IV and pushes, which are kind of the additives that we use, specific to you. So, I mean, there's other places that, you literally walk in and
you have to choose off a menu.
Yeah, and you choose off a menu, or someone without any medical training at all will tell you what you need based on your symptoms. I mean, it's really dangerous. 99% of the time, is it going to be fine? Yeah, because these are pretty benign treatments. But every once in a while, there's reasons that people can't get treatments. Mm-hmm. And to have someone with really no medical training telling you what IVs you need. Now, this is something that is a intravenous. It's actually going into your body. This isn't like John pushing on your tendon. Like, this is going into body. This is invasive. This is not something that needs to be taken lightly. And unfortunately, because of the popularity of it, these places are popping up all over the place with people that have medical training, but don't.
Some of them are franchises, for Christ's sake.
Yeah.
I mean, that's what blew me away. I'm like, how are you franchising something that, any Tom, Dick, and Harry could pay a franchise fee and read an instruction manual and do?
To a non-medical person.
Correct.
Now, you can sell franchise to a medical person, whether it's a PA or even an RN.
Well, yeah.
But they're not. They're sending it to anybody. And I'm just like, thankfully, the people here locally have done it the right way. They have brought in medical people. And so here in Wilmington, we're very lucky that we do have a couple different places that do it. And thankfully, there's people there that are trained, that know what they're doing. They're not doctors, but they have good knowledge base. So, but the way I address it is very differently, because at the Frank Institute, it's about restoring and regenerating. Because people ask me all the time, what kind of doctor are you? I'm a restorative and regenerative medicine doctor. And people will be like, what the hell is that? Well, and I explained, you restore what's lost.
I'm the boner doc.
Jesus.
I'm going to get you a shirt that says that.
I will not wear it. You know what? I tell you that. I want a Clean Eats shirt that says Dr. Frank, official boner doctor of Clean Eats.
I'll do
it. I know you will. That's the scary thing. I don't remember what I was talking about. No, I forgot. Oh, so restorative and regenerative. And we regenerate what you've lost. So it's all the services that I do all work together. We do very in-depth blood work. If you don't know where, you have to start somewhere and you have to be able to measure. Because if you just do it and you start kind of willy-nilly, you're like, I don't even know, am what I'm treating, is it appropriate? Are you getting better? So all these services that we've talked about all meld together. And it gives you really a very unique way of looking at healing, looking at medicine, and it's why my patients do so well.
What are some of the things that the IVs do, though? Because I think that's what a lot of people don't understand. So, they don't they see people get these, and they're like, well, what do they do?
I have yet to meet anyone that is taking in enough nutrients, vitamins, and minerals. You're just not. The food that we eat,
it's very difficult.
And even people who supplement, be like, oh, I'm on, they bring me this list of supplements. I was like, well, okay, well, 90% of this is complete crap, and it's redundant, and it's so you're spending $400 a month on stuff that, is it working? And I'll run their labs, and I'll be like, here, look, see, it's not working, because your B12 level, your vitamin D level, all these other levels are completely tanked. So what we do is we measure, and then we give them the appropriate supplementation through the IV. So you're looking at better energy, because B12 specifically, if you don't have enough B12, it's kind of like a supercharger for your body. It works with a lot of different body processes. One of them is energy, metabolism. So the best way to get B vitamins in there. So we do vitamin C, right? Everyone knows vitamin C, antioxidant. Vitamin D, and we're finding a lot more out about vitamin D, ironically because of COVID, that it works more like a hormone than a vitamin.
That's your foundation.
Yeah. So if you have to have a healthy vitamin D, and then you're looking at minerals and you're looking at other vitamins, and you're just not getting enough. And so you're constantly running in this level of depletion in your body. Doing the IVs, it basically floods it and fills you up. And people will be like, well, I had an IV, I didn't feel any better. Well, because your levels were so catastrophically low that it's going to take 2 or 3 to get your levels up. And after the second one or the third one, people are like, oh my God, now I feel it. and you'll recover better. Your energy will be better. You'll be more clear. Again, all the things that we're trying to treat with like the hormone therapy and the peptides and all this other stuff, the IV is just another avenue to get you optimal.
I think that's the one thing I don't pay attention to enough is the vitamin supplementation. I do it. I'm going to take my everyday vitamins. But like you were saying, like, most people don't know if they're vitamin B deficient or if they don't have enough vitamin D in their system. And, like, I'm just as bad. Like, I don't pay attention to it. Like, I supplement, a liquid vitamin D3, so I'm probably okay. But there's been times where I've came in and gotten B12 shots, and then I'm like, 2 days later, I'm like, oh. Like, I feel like a machine. Like, just the alertness that you're missing from that is staggering.
And, most people don't take enough vitamin D specifically. Most people need between 5,000 and 10,000 IUs. Well, if you look at a bottle of vitamin D, most of them are 2,000.
Yeah.
And they're taking 1. And their levels still come back at 32 when it should be 60 to 70. But I take vitamin D. Well, again, you're either taking the wrong kind or you're not taking enough. Well, you haven't measured it, so you don't know if it's working.
I think it's like 80% of people are vitamin D deficient, like in the world.
I would say almost 100% of my patients are low in vitamin D, and I'm not talking about low. I'm talking about really low.
Yeah, I think that's like the only one that I really make sure I take all the time. Take 10,000.
Perfect.
Well, man, this has been awesome.
Thank you, dude. I appreciate it.
Talk about the Frank Institute for a minute and where they can find you, and specifically, you're like nationwide now with the online practice, right?
We're able to do telemedicine almost anywhere.
Which I don't think, before you explain that, this is unbelievably beneficial. Had I had access to this 10 years ago, I would be a brand new man sitting right here today.
Yeah.
Based off of the cheap route that I went by going to an online clinic, filling out some paperwork that I didn't see the person who was looking at this. They were sending me cheap Chinese bullshit to take, and I didn't even know what I was taking. But
yeah, I mean, anyway, I have a national account with LabCorp. My pharmacy can ship anywhere. And you hit cost. Most of my guys who are on only testosterone, you're looking at $1,500-$1,600 a year.
Yeah,
with a
very affordable,
a full protocol with HCG and Samoralin, then that's getting expensive. That's more like $2,500 a year. But still, if you break it, it's a couple $100 a month.
Especially if you think about, I'm talking specifically to men and younger men and women in their 30s to 40s who are still active, who still like to train. Put that price up against how much over-the-counter bullshit you buy at Amazon, bodybuilding.com, any brick-and-mortar supplement store. You're buying expensive piss. Mm-hmm. I mean, 90% of it.
Yeah, you're literally pissing it out.
But you just mentioned, $2,500 per the whole year. This is real medicine. Mm-hmm. This is real shit that's going to make you feel the way you should.
From Empower Pharmacy, which is considered the best pharmacy in the country, I'm very particular. People come to me, and this is going to sound really egotistical, and it's not meant to be. But people come to me because I'm the best at what I do. And I'm the best at what I do because I obsess over it. I'm educated. I follow my patients closely. I have the best staff ever, and I use the best kind of medicine. That is a combination that, you can go other places and it'll be cheaper. But like you said, like you may not even be seeing a doctor that has any clue.
Sure.
You may be seeing an ER doctor who's moonlighting doing hormone therapy because he's trying to make some extra money. Or you might be seeing a resident or someone who's not trained. Or this is what I do, is restorative and regenerative medicine. So this is, I like to think I'm pretty good at what I do. So you call me. It's the phone number is 910-679-8534. Go on the website, frankinstitute.com. There's a symptom checker on there. There's a symptom survey. Go on, take it. You'll be surprised when you start really thinking about how you feel and you start clicking those questions. Oh crap! I do feel bad. So
and be honest about it.
And
don't fake it because you don't want to admit it.
Yeah, this is not the time to be pulling punches. Like if you really want my help, and if I can help you, then you need to be honest with me. And I tell, I have competitors that have come into my office. And they'll be like, hey, I'll say, hey, have you ever used any kind of testosterone before? And they'll say no. And I'll look at their labs and be like, Want to try again?
Yeah.
Because I know the answer to this question before I'm answering it.
Your testosterone's 3,200. I'm calling bullshit.
Or your FSH and LH are 0, which
Yeah.
means that you're on testosterone and you just stop taking it before your labs. I don't care. I don't. Because whatever you did before you walk in my door is your business. You're a grown person. But you came to me for help, and I'm here to help you, but you got to tell me what's going on. I've never thrown anyone out of my office for telling me that they've used testosterone in whatever capacity. But I have to know. Because if you lie to me, I'm going to go on what I think. And
Those
what
are
do I
bodies hitting the floor in the back.
I was like,
That's
what is
they're
going
doing.
on out there, man? Is Yvonne on the rampage?
It's the guys in the warehouse. Man, thank you again, guys. If you are interested in this or you have any questions, reach out to me. I'll guide you in the right direction. Like Gabe said, frankinstitute.com is the website. Check him out. Give him a call, and get your health in order. Till next time.